Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing? How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, that was, geez, that's how much time
I
has passed
know,
from the last,
so much time has
I
passed.
don't know why it feels like that was longer ago. Despite the fact that I've eaten so much turkey in the last, 72 hours.
Which I feel
Uh,
like that needs to be something that we need to talk about because we were talking about I don't remember what led to it, but I talked about how like turkey isn't great in
It
the
was
Discord.
yeah, I don't remember if this specifically came up or not, but there's just been a general trend where like this happens every year, but I feel like it's been at an all-time high this year where it's like, oh, one of these got to go. What are you going to get rid of? Which is always kind of a pointless thing, but the whole point is to bring up dumb arguments. And so the biggest one that I've seen really come up is just being like, yeah, you get rid of ham, or yeah, you get rid of turkey. And it's just like, what do each opposite side just being like, what the hell are you talking about right now? Um,
Mm.
and I'm on team keep the turkey.
Yeah,
I
I
I
know, which
think
is wild to me.
I
It's like it's wild outside of the context of the holiday,
sure.
um, because no, because I remember exactly what happened. I put on Blue Sky, I was just like, no, it's not because I haven't had your turkey.
Right.
It's just not that great.
Right,
I've
that's right.
had I've had so many turkeys, y'all,
Yeah.
including one from people that can cook, and it's not that it's just that it's just fine. Like it needs gravy, in my opinion,
Uh-huh.
to be good. It's carried by the gravy in
I
the way
almost
where like
I almost never put gravy directly on my turkey.
that's insane. Turkey is so dry. Like
Like certain parts of it, but like I don't know, man. I tend to focus on the darker meat and like having the leg, and like that is delicious as is like near perfection. So I don't know where you're going on with.
I mean, I'm going off of 31 years of living on this planet. That's what I'm
I
going.
I questioned the turkey supply out in Nevada then. I don't know, man. like
Butterball? Like what?
I don't know. I don't know. They're shipping the weak ones over there, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
I think just ham is just better in every
I think
single way.
so. Look, I'm not like anti-ham. I think ham's fine. To me, ham does not synergize with the rest of the plate nearly as well. I think it tastes far too strong and overpowers a lot of other stuff that's going on. I'm also aware my camera has frozen, and I'm not quite sure how to change that right now, but we're gonna keep going. Uh, Yeah, I just think that if we're gonna only have one, turkey is literally the Thanksgiving dish. Like that is the centerpiece main protein. Like there's just no like that's just what it is. I'm sorry.
No, like you're not wrong there, but I'm just saying that you can have other options. Like it's kind of like, oh, during Thanksgiving dinner you have like or for dessert you have pumpkin pie or like apple pie or
Yeah,
maybe pecan pie and I'm like,
sure.
"No, I'm going to get a cheesecake cuz cheesecake is better than all three of those."
Yeah, I mean
Like
that's utter fucking madness, and I still don't know how to rationalize that that's a thing you said. But uh, I look to be clear. I'm not gonna take the ham off the table and throw it in the garbage saying, "Why is this here?" This
not
is a
as I did
forced
not
situation. No,
imply
I know,
that.
I know, I know. I'm just saying, like, this is one of those dumb forced situations where it's just like, "Hey, pick one. It's gotta go." And actually, Christine jumped in real quick when we were talking about this on the Discord, and she brought up to what to me is really like the crux of the issue too. Um, Look, both main dishes are fine, but to like Thanksgiving meal to me is mostly about the sides. And that's even why it's like so easy for I think people to jump to either turkey or ham first as the thing to remove because it's like, yeah, I'm not going to get rid of one of the sides. Like we get rid of one of the other like we don't need two main dishes. Get rid of one of those like main proteins and then just sides.
It depends on what like is available cuz one, I'm a picky eater, so like that's on me. That's
Yeah.
on me. I'm not saying that is the people that make the foods issue. That's on me. But like cuz I'm not a cranberry guy. Vegetables, it kind of depends on the vegetables. Like I had carrots and I love carrots. So like carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, like that's fine. Um but yeah, it just really depends. Like stuffing, S tier. Cuz I remember when like what wait, hold on. What's your stance on stuffing?
I love
Cuz that
stuffing. No, I love
Okay, thank
stuffing, but
God.
the reason for my little laugh is like, oh, the picky eater likes the savory bread.
Oh yeah,
Like more
no,
the simple.
it
I
was
mean,
funny because you saw my spread and it was like, that's a lot of carbs, dog. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you because it was mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, stuffing, turkey, and I think carrots. I think that was the whole thing.
I
Oh,
think
not
so as
turkey,
well.
ham. Sorry,
Yeah.
ham, and then
Even you know in your heart of hearts that turkey is the thing that goes on the plate. Anyways.
yeah. So that was that dinner was nice. Thanksgiving was good outside of Kansas City losing the football game because the refs terrible officiating. But
I did keep my eye on that during ours. I was like, oh, I'm gonna see how Cam's feel at the end of
it
this.
was terrible. Like it was terrible. We got so many defensive pass interference call for offensive push, like offensive pushing, and it's like defensive pass interference. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that just like gave them the game. It really did. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. Um, so now the Kansas City has to win basically every game for the rest of the season to have a chance at the playoffs, which is wild.
Which I
I
mean,
honestly
how
think
much longer
I
is
honestly
the season? Because aren't the
I want
playoffs
to say
like
5
early next
weeks.
year? Okay,
I want
yeah.
to say 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, and yeah, I think their season is done. Sadly, I really hope that Kelsey doesn't retire because this is a lot of people expected that this was going to be his last season. I also hope that Andy Reid doesn't call it after this season as well, but um, we'll see. Because both of them are like they've definitely been like the talk of like, yeah, they're probably gonna dip out soon. So we'll see about that. And then saw Zootopia 2. Very, very good. Like
Nice.
I like even since I saw Zootopia 1, I was just like, am I crazy to think that this is the best Disney animations IP since Lilo and Stitch? Because like I look back, and obviously like Frozen was a big thing, but like if we're talking about quality of movie versus the two, like I do think Frozen, like I understood it, like because like, people were talking about it. I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna finally go see Frozen. I walked out of it being like, I get why it's super popular. I
Yeah.
totally get it. But Zootopia, just like story and like everything, it's
Yeah.
so good.
No,
It's
I
so
agree,
good.
and I agree with you. I like Zootopia a lot more. I have not seen 2 yet. I'm not sure if I'm gonna see it in theaters. More so because, I mean, 1, I just don't go to theaters that often, even though I just went last night. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that in a
you
second.
saw Wake Up Dead Man.
Yeah, I saw Wake Up Dead Man. But, like, I always get Disney sequels, man, always worry me. Like, it just every
It's
time there's a
great.
direct sequel, I just get a little like, "All right, we'll see how it goes this time." Like, just between, like, you know, not even going to the old days of like direct to VHS, even like later examples
Oh,
like Ralph Breaks the Internet or uh
actually, I thought it was fun. Oh, I
it's
enjoyed it.
fine, but it's a huge step down from the first one. Um and then
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah, and then for actually I did like the second Frozen more than the first Frozen, but that's also because I think I like don't really like
that's
the
fine.
first Frozen that much. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh
that's a take.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is one Christine and I share. We've talked to a few people about it. We know a few people that are in the same boat. To be fair, I don't really love either of them that much. It's just if I'm gonna pick one I like more, I'm like, yeah, I think I like this one more. Um,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah. So like, I'm always just not sure when it comes to direct sequels in Disney. I feel like it's always like, hey, we had like a really good idea that one time, and now we're going to. It was profitable. We have to make a second one now, and it's just always. It never hits quite the same. Um, But yeah, speaking of sequels, I watched Wake Up Dead Man last night, which, if folks don't know it by that title, it's effectively Knives Out 3. Uh, really liked it. Not something I want to really talk to in depth about because, murder mystery movie series, part of the point is not really knowing what's going on going into the film. I will say it's very interesting looking at this one in like the lineup because it's almost like you think of like Knives Out as being sort of like the blueprint, the basic idea. And then Glass Onion was like, hey, we're gonna be a little more outlandish and a little sillier. Not that it doesn't have serious moments, but it just like it has very larger than life characters. Uh, and while Wake Up Dead Man certainly has like strong personality characters, it feels just like a little more grounded, a little more uh a little more serious. It still has its comedy bits, like some very funny parts, but the general tone and energy is just a bit different. Very different cinematography compared to Glass Onion that I really enjoyed. I'm like kind of working in my head right now, like how I kind of want to rewatch all of them back to back. Like maybe once it comes to like full Netflix, I'll just do like the run of all three of them. But I like it a lot. I really enjoyed it. I think part of it is definitely going to come down to like I think some folks are going to get more out of this one than others based on your like personal relationship with religion, because that's definitely like a major part of the genre and like faith, organized church, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, man's 3 for 3 right now on that series. I got my thoughts about Last Jedi, but damn, his lives have been great. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm excited to see it. Like I actually saw that it was in one of my theaters as well. One like time, but also like knowing it's going to be on Netflix in a few weeks. I'm
no,
like
for sure.
I would rather pay money to see something else. Like I really want to see Rental Family still, with Brendan
For
Fraser.
sure. Yeah.
Fraser. Um, I know that I just know that we have been incorrectly been pronouncing his last name
Sure.
like all these years. Fraser, there it is. Um, and sorry, that part really tripped me up. So I really want to see that. I really want to see Hamnet. Because
Oh yeah.
Chloe Zhao is an interesting director in a way where like I guess I think she's like a really great director whose movies are just really not for me.
Mhm.
Like I remember watching Nomadland, which was the Oscar Best Picture winner, like front runner. That film did absolutely nothing for me. I was just like, this was a snooze fest for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so but I actually am a little bit higher on Eternals than most people.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know where I stand with Hamnet
Right.
really bad. So we'll see about that.
Yeah. I'd be
So
very interested.
there's a few movies out right now that
Yeah.
I want to see. So
Uh, we got just enough time before my usual cutoff for our side things, just for one more little random tangent. Speaking of last name stuff, have you ever heard like the Steve Buscemi thing?
think I have.
So the like the classic pronunciation is Buscemi, but like he goes by like he pronounces it Buscemi. Uh, and I think my favorite like version of where this is silly is there was some story about like a hotel clerk answering the phone, and it's like, "Hey, I'd like to can I be connected to Steve Buscemi's room, please?" He's like, "Oh, just so you know, it actually is pronounced Buscemi." And the person went, "Cool, can you get me in touch with my husband now, please?" Just like like dude, like I know how my husband pronounces his name. Like just
Yeah,
connect the
that's
call.
funny.
Just
Yeah, I think that one's he's gonna have to take the L on.
I
Like
mean, that's
the
just gonna be
Fraser thing, that's an
sure.
easy fix,
Yeah.
but
No, and that's
Buscemi
just
do that's a weird fix to me.
and well, and that's just one of those classic like historical how this should be done versus how your family personally did it at a certain point, and that's where like greater knowledge of the world and what the internet has opened up brings in those conflicts. Because if you were just in small town life with that last name, no one would think twice after you said, "Oh, it's Buscemi," and you're done.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
nowadays, nope. Anyways,
It's kind of like Grande versus Grande or something like that, or like
or just
for
saying grand.
Ariana Grande,
Oh
huh?
yeah, or just
Yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah,
grand. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we have a pretty chill show this week. We're not nothing too crazy. But before we get into the news, we're going to get into some housekeeping. I have played about 35 hours of Octopath Traveler 0, and we do have a review up right now on YouTube and podcast services for you to check out. If you've been enjoying the show, please go to your podcast service of choice, leave us a 5-star review. Go to youtube.com/at partychatjrpgpod and hit the subscribe button over there. We finally made it past 500 subscribers. Thank you everybody who has subbed, but we're still just trying to get that number up. So if you can hit the subscribe button over there, would really appreciate it. We also have a Patreon where you can subscribe to a few tiers to get some rewards, like getting access to our Discord, getting the episode a day early, Q&A episodes, as well as our Campfire catalog. Lastly, go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson. Hit the subscribe button over there as we're trying to get him to 1 million subscribers before the end of 2025.
Yeah. Anyways, how about the news this week?
It's been going up, right? It's been going up. Oh, Kevin. Okay.
Anyways,
Anyway, um, so Yuji Horii has made some small comments on uh his thoughts with Final Fantasy and how he's seen Final Fantasy versus Dragon Quest, and I just wanted to read it out here. This was reported by Game Informer as they did the whole cover story for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. He says, quote, way back then when Final Fantasy originally came out, I was definitely paying attention to it because it was something that we needed to look out for. But there was one key difference that I saw back then. The protagonists in the Final Fantasy titles, they speak a lot. Whereas for Dragon Quest, the key objective for the games or the experience it offers for the player is that the player becomes the protagonist themselves. In Final Fantasy, you kind of observe the protagonist, but you're not necessarily becoming the protagonist in the games. So I thought that was a really interesting and stark difference between Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. But I didn't necessarily see them as a rival back then. Final Fantasy, again, the protagonists just talk a lot. I do like Final Fantasy, though. When I first saw Final Fantasy X, I recall feeling this was the ultimate perfection of Final Fantasy. End quote. Those were among a series of quotes. But I might be off base here.
uh-huh.
I never really saw the hero as a self-inserted character.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I never.
That's
I
like
see
the
him
point
more
of
as.
that's like
I
the
see
point
him
of
more as.
protagonists.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but I think like maybe when Dragon Quest first came out, I would feel that. But I think as time progressed, I've like and playing the series for the first time when there's 11 entries and things like that, I just don't see it that way. I see it more, and again, might be off base here. I see it more as like a Link S character.
Sure, but Link's also a self-insert.
I
Like
don't.
that's how
I
that
don't see. I've never seen Link that
you
way.
know why he's named Link, right?
No.
Because he's your link to the game world. He's your avatar.
Oh, I
Like
I
that's the whole
still
point of
I've
like
played
every
Zelda games as a
yeah.
I played Zelda games as a kid. Never saw Link that way.
Oh, I've always seen silent protagonists that way. And maybe that's why they're more like palatable to me than they are for other folks that just want like a story to be played out. Um but like I've always viewed like both Dragon Quest and Zelda leads as that way. And to me, that is what it is to be a silent protagonist. Like even in Persona games, where like you do have dialogue options, the point is like they're silent and not given as thorough of a personality because it's meant to be you like going through the calendar cycle and making your connections and experiencing this world. Uh, I think it
Yeah, and
gets
I think
harder in more recent games. Like, I think the shift to 3D has made that more difficult for people as well as like voice acting because now it's just like it stands out more awkwardly than it did in old days where you just had text boxes and like simplified visuals. Um, but yeah,
no, I mean like in the Persona games, I definitely see it more because you're making like direct relationships with uh your party members in a way that you know you might run into some characters in Zelda. I'm sure, um, but like it's not the same to me. Um, and so yeah, for me, like that's why silent protagonists are kind of like hit or miss for me.
sure.
Um, like again, I do think like the hero should be silent. Like I think that works. But I never like thought of it as like, oh, this is just myself.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and
yeah.
that might be just like me
No, it's
playing it as a 31-year-old.
yeah, no, and different people get inducted to different ways, and maybe that's because I played. I didn't play Dragon Quest growing up, but I certainly played Legend of Zelda. And maybe I was able to have that association with silent protagonists more so early on, so it's just always been like a baseline assumption in the back of my head.
Yeah,
But it absolutely, I mean, this is just one of those great examples about how we all don't engage play in the same way.
yeah.
Um, and
I,
that's just how this
and,
works.
and I think like the best example of a self-insert protagonist for me is Pokemon. Like you are you are the trainer. Like you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you are picking the team, you're
Yeah.
picking like you're choosing what Pokemon to catch and not to catch. Like there's such a personable experience with that directly in the gameplay that like
Right.
yeah, no, you are the protagonist in which is why Red is arguably the definitive silent protagonist,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So we got some new information on Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties. They basically added a whole orphanage sim in this game where you are being, you know, trying to become the ultimate caretaker, the ultimate daddy, if you will. And there's just like a whole bunch of different things that you can do, like a bunch of different mini games. Like it seems like each of the kids have like their own little side story that you help them with as you progress. Like they're called family time events. Um, and then yeah, you literally have a daddy rank where like once you do certain things, you level up. They're
God, a daddy
yeah,
rank.
yeah, it's literally called Daddy Rank. You have like again these mini games like sewing, cooking, you help the kids with their homework. Um, some other mini games that I'm not entirely certain exactly what they are. Um, and just based off the pictures alone. Competitive bug catching and fishing and a new like tabletop S game called Dragon Reversi. Um, and then you can also there's also like the Morning Glory Market where you can sell the things that you create through like you know the cooking and the sewing and stuff like that to furnish the orphanage, buy new ingredients, and you know just kind of up the uh, state of living at the Morning Glory Orphanage. Um, and then we got some updates with Dark Ties, kind of like a little bit of story of like what Mine is particularly doing in the story, where basically you're tasked with turning Konda's image around so he can climb through the ranks of the Yakuza. So you'll like basically be doing a bunch of various requests and challenges on his behalf. Um, you'll have like certain relationship things called drink links, um, which is like basically at the brothel that he normally attends. Um, and then there's good deed plans created by Zenba, one of Konda's subordinates, where basically you're doing you're looking into incidents around town, things like that. But yeah, um, it's um, it's shaping up to be like a worthy remake. I think Yakuza 3 was the most desperate of needing a remake, at least
Of what's not
you
been
know
remade yet.
of what hasn't been remade yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like that they put this extra effort in there. Again, things are weird with the whole like actor thing.
Yeah, the whole Kagawa thing was really poisoning a lot of
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
And I
100%.
I will say on the Kagawa thing. First off, remove him. But second
Yep.
off, there is a thing that I've seen a few people bring up in terms of just the reality of the situation. In that because things that Kagawa has done were kind of just known history at the time of his hiring, and it wasn't something that was like during. There's not much legally they can do about it now that it's like already in process. uh, because they're not going to like break contract at this point, because that's just going to end up giving him even more money, which would really make people even more upset, I think.
Yeah.
But there is that hope that maybe post release, if they actually respond to the feedback on this, like if there is going to be an answer to this, it's not going to be pre-launch. And do with that information what you will. Hold off on buying the game if you don't want to support this release for that reason. There's a whole lot of cool stuff about this one. I even did a preview for it, and I really enjoyed the combat, and there's a lot going on in it. But it absolutely is rough, especially as a fan of like the whole series, just to kind of see this going on with a casting choice.
Yeah, it's tough because like RGG seems like similar to Falcom, and I mean, yeah, I would say like those two devs, I feel like have been more like progressive in the sense of like the kind of stories that they're telling and the type of messages that they're sending and things like that. Um, that this feels like such a wild oversight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look, and this plays into a larger thing about the general direction of the series post leadership changes, and it's just like, how much of this is because of leadership change, how much of it is just like blinders on for this specific actor. Because I know there is a degree of like esteem for this guy as well as part of like why he's even casted in the first place, but it's just like, come on, man. Like we literally
Yep,
have like minor antagonists that were meant to be laughed off that did the shit that this guy actually did in real life. Like,
yep,
what are we doing here? So yeah, it's rough. Yeah, I feel like we just had to like we haven't really talked about it that much on the pod, but I feel like especially if we're going to talk about all the cool stuff coming to 3, it's like it's got to be talked about.
yep. No, that's totally fair. But yep.
Yep.
Yep, that's it.
That's
That's it.
yeah, that's just where follow your own conscience in this one, folks. And like I'm not the guy that's gonna be like, damn everyone who gives their money or whatever, but just I am also a very big like
Yeah.
vote with your wallet. And if this choice
Yeah.
bothers you,
The
vote with your
dude
wallet.
like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is like a justification or anything like that. The dude's been paid. That's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the dude's been
sure.
paid, and at this point it's like in RGG's hands to like right their wrongs. So
Yeah, and they've recasted before in post launch, so
oh
we'll see.
really?
Oh yeah, that was the thing with Judgment. They redid one of the actors because the original actor for I can't remember the character's right name right now, but he's effectively one of the antagonists of Judgment.
Okay.
Um, they recasted him post launch because the original actor likeness was arrested on drug charges,
Oh, okay. Uh
which is
yeah,
taken
so
much more seriously in Japan.
yeah, I mean that should yeah, so they should fix it. Like but here's the thing. Like surely they can say that make an announcement that they are going to change it. Right? Like
I mean,
that
so
should
far, so far
that
they've
shouldn't be
been
a
very.
contractual issue with the previous actor.
I don't. I mean, it depends on what's in the contract, and but there could be a defamation thing aspect to that. If you're like, hey, by the way, like I don't know, like I don't know the contracts. I don't know the actual full legal paperwork there. I just
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah,
all I
okay.
can say is that the way they have been handling it thus far is by ignoring the criticism and even going so far as to like continue to hype up like why he's a good actor choice for a character that honestly looked nothing like him originally, and I also feel it's just like a miscast in the first place. But that's a whole other argument. uh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, what
yeah,
apps
it's
bizarre.
yeah.
Looks nothing like
Which,
him,
yeah,
like
which is
type
like an
deal.
extra layer of frustration on this. It's like if
Yeah.
it was like
D-
if this was like the perfect guy to be this character, it'd be like, I get
did,
it. I don't even get it from that aspect here. Like
did we
it's
ever get a answer as to why they did not bring back that actor?
well, he wasn't a likeness actor before. He did have a different voice actor originally, but they didn't base his likeness on him. He was an original character design
Oh,
before.
okay.
And the same applies to for
He's such a distinct looking character though.
yeah,
That like
because he's not a likeness actor.
yeah, I know he's still a distinct looking character. It's like, no, dog, just make him again. Like
Yeah. That's also
yeah.
why the Ricky one was kind of weird because Ricky was not a likeness actor originally, and now he is, which is why we have that major redesign. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like likeness actors have always I'm actually not sure if it's been a thing since like the first game, but like it's been a part of the series for a long time now. Um, but it does feel like the meter of like percentage of likeness has been getting turned up more and more with every release. So I don't know.
Nintendo is acquiring Bandai Namco Studios Singapore and is turning them into Nintendo Studios Singapore. Um, some things worth noting is uh, the studio has helped with the development of Splatoon, and it's basically just gonna be a subsidiary of Nintendo where it just kind of helps with the development operations and to strengthen Nintendo's development structure. Um, so, what any real thoughts on that?
This is one of those things where it's like I don't know how much interesting insight I can give immediately on this, but I'm very curious how this is going to play out over time. I mean, these are support studios that have already been working with Nintendo. This it's kind of like when there was the announcement of like them getting majority stake in Monolith, where it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like you're already doing this basically, so uh,
Yeah,
like it just absorb it. Like this is already what their function has been for years now. So like I'm sure that studio was also doing a lot of stuff like for Bandai Namco as well, but you look at a lot of outer cooperation that Nintendo's been getting for some of their major releases, and like this has been a big one, like again and again. So it makes sense.
yeah. I continue to, and I think I've said this on the podcast over this past year as well. I continue to underestimate, or not underestimate, but like not realize how big Bandai Namco is as a company because they're huge, dude.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
they're so
I mean,
significant, and like
Bandai, like, I mean, really, like,
yeah,
just as part of that
yeah,
original like merger, right? Like, because like
hmm
Namco was big, and Namco had their big IPs, but like it's the Bandai side of that that really expanded everything considerably as far as like IPs they own, other businesses they're involved in, different forms of media. It's big. It's big. There's a reason they get to have some of the bigger booths at trade shows, right? Like if you've ever been to, any kind of big, like E3 in the past or conventions where they're present, like an anime expo, like Bandai Namco tends to have a big place to show their stuff off.
yeah, yeah. Uh, some quickies for this week. Uh, Genshin Impact is getting a limited edition DualSense controller. Pre-orders are going to open on December 11th at 7 a.m. Pacific time on PlayStation Direct, as well as select retailers in the United States. But it'll also be available for pre-order in UK, France, Germany, Austria, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. Luxembourg is is wild. Just did not expect that. Um, it's a really pretty controller. As someone who does not care about Genshin Impact at all, so
Yeah,
definitely probably the best like the best one based off a game at the very least
yeah.
that we've gotten.
I also don't go there, but like that deep teal with the gold trim, really nice. Like that's
Yeah,
that's that's a pretty controller.
it's going to be launching January 21st for $85 across select markets in Asia as well as Japan, and then it will be releasing February 25th for everywhere else. Same price. Um, and then there was one other story. Grasshopper is holding a direct that's going to feature 5 minutes of Romeo as a Dead Man, the next Suda 51 game, on December 4th, being the day that this podcast comes out. So we will talk about that when we get back next week before the Game Awards.
Cool. One quick bit of breaking news that I'm just seeing on my timeline right now,
Okay.
because I always like keeping an eye out in case. As part of the storm of Square Enix has just been announcing musical albums and different just music acts in general a lot the last couple weeks. Like we talked, I think a couple weeks back with like the FF9 Jazz album, and there was another like Chrono Trigger thing. Uh, they've just announced a new concert tour. That is a new act. It's not focused on any specific franchise, but rather just Square Enix and their IPs in general. called The Music of Square Enix Magic Memories and Melodies. A new global concert tour celebrates the unforgettable worlds and iconic soundtracks that have defined generations of video game storytelling and adventure. Under the direction of renowned conductors Arnie Roth and Eric Roth, this all-new symphonic concert production celebrates the music of Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Legend of Mana, Nier, Octopath Traveler, and more in a spectacular multimedia experience.
Huh.
And then they have a website link you can go to learn more details and see everything as far as, upcoming tour dates and such. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, looks like tour dates are we have like places and dates, which is pretty interesting. And tickets go on sale this week, as early as this week. A lot of it going on sale the day this podcast drops. So sadly, you know, if you don't already know about it, you're gonna get a little you might get fucked over. But Los Angeles, Chicago, Seattle, Portland, Singapore, London, Paris, Lyon, and Fort Worth. So those in Tokyo. So those are kind of those are all of the places, and they're gonna be happening from the end of April. Or oh wait, oh wow. Okay, so this is going like from April to July of 2026, and then stops until February of 2027 to April of 2027.
Yeah, it looks like they've planned quite far ahead for this one.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, I would very much like to attend this, but oh, looks like Okabe is going to be there, at least in LA.
Oh, I mean that.
'Cause
Yeah, that makes a degree of sense. I mean, for Nier, and I've definitely seen him travel for. I mean, he traveled for the Nier concert, which makes sense, but he doesn't have to. I think
Yeah,
even when I saw him at ours, it was sort of like oh, guess what? Okabe's actually here. Uh,
yeah,
so cool. I wonder if there's a chance of anyone else showing up at them, because they definitely highlight, they bring attention to Legend of Mana specifically, definitely because that's a Yoko Shimomura thing. Like they don't.
hmm
There's a reason they picked that mana over any other one, and that's because Shimomura. So I'm sure between that and Kingdom Hearts, maybe she shows up somewhere too. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know. I love both of them.
yeah.
So
I regret that I never was able to make it to the Kingdom Hearts concerts. Like oh god, dude, that they did two tours. I'm like, surely they're just gonna make this a yearly thing because it's Kingdom Hearts, right?
yeah,
Like, surely they're gonna do this. That was the last time,
yep.
and I don't know if they're gonna do it again.
I mean,
And then I find,
some version of it at least when the next one's coming out, right? I feel like you push harder
yes,
when you have
like that
a
will be
thing
the
to point
time to
to.
do it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, and then I was like talking about this before, but like I never ended up picking up the vinyl because it just never like I never just got to the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna buy this now, and now it's not available because the whole I don't know if it's just because of like the whole like Kingdom Hearts Disney Square Enix like merch licensing deal like expired, or if it's because it just sold out, but like now it's like selling for like 400 minimum. I'm like, dog, I'm not trying to drop $400 on a vinyl set. I'm just not.
yeah.
But anyway, cool. Um, Now we're gonna get into what we've been playing this week. As I said before, we do have a review for Octopath Traveler 0. But one of the things I realized that we didn't talk about last week that we said we were going to the episode before is Dragon Quest 2,
Oh yeah.
because we've now both finished Dragon Quest 2.
And have you finished? Because we
I
talked
have
about this
finished
before.
yeah, I finished Dragon Quest
Okay,
2.
cool. I didn't know
Yeah.
when that happened, so I wasn't sure. Like we had
Mhm.
talked about, you were like, "Oh, I think in the next week I'll be able to," and then I never got an update. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know if you found the
Oh,
time or not."
yeah,
What's up?
I finished it. I
Okay,
finished it.
cool.
Um yeah, it's fantastic. I understand like why you told me like you have to do this. You
Yeah,
have to like kind of see
the
how
post
this
game. Yeah,
resolves. Um there's certain aspects of that I just like there's definitely some logistical
sure.
plot holes there. Definitely where it's just like, hey, so this doesn't make sense, but it just like for the moment of it all, like, this is nice, right? Like, this is
Yeah,
a
I mean,
cool little thing.
there's like a thematic thing they do to close out this whole trilogy. That is
Yes,
not like a
yes,
yeah, like it makes plot sense up to a certain point, and then it's just sort of like, wait, what? But it's a thematic send off kind of deal.
yes.
And it's great. I you know I've seen a few people have this take where it's like, there were a lot of people growing up where like two is actually their favorite, even though two is not really like a popular one. A lot of people point to. Um,
I really liked 2 when I played it
yeah,
originally.
no, for sure. I'm just saying it doesn't tend to get like brought up in ranking tier lists the same way as like say
Sure.
five or
Oh,
eight.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying people didn't like it, uh, but man, like playing it in this newer version, like there is something to be said for a bit of friction loss. But it is so good. Just so good. Like just like a lot of the additional content, uh the uh just extra plot beats, the filling out of everything. There's a little bit of the classic tone lost, but I think there's a lot gained. At least if you're more a fan of like, more modern RPG storytelling. Yeah, just excellent, excellent remake. I think this whole trilogy is wonderful.
Yeah,
Love
I
it.
would argue that outside of, like, the opening hours of the game, like, getting the first 3 party members, like, it feels more or less like a brand new Dragon Quest.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I mean, there's so much
it
stuff you do that was not in the original.
there's so much new stuff, and it's all very, very good, and they add, like, certain story, like, threads to certain characters that they just didn't need to do, but they did anyway, and it's, like, really good. And again, I already really liked Dragon Quest II, and, like, cause like, I remember when I played Dragon Quest III the first time, I was like, "Man, if Dragon Quest II had this type of experience, like, this amount of depth, I would have been like, this is like, Dragon Quest II would have been my favorite, and now it is my favorite of the 4 that I've played and 5 and some change. It's my favorite Dragon Quest. And I think that yeah, the way that they added so much more personality to the party members and the characters, adding Matilda, great. She's great. One thing from the remake that I wish they seemingly changed from what I
Mhm.
remember. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering. But when I played Dragon Quest II initially, I remember the Dragon Lord's great grandson or whatever. I remember him being like a dork.
Mhm.
Um, and they don't really do that in this one.
Yeah,
And
his
I wish
he's
that
toned a bit more serious in this
yeah,
one.
he's toned very like, "Oh, it's the Dragon Lord if I was good or I wasn't evil."
Yeah.
And, I just wish that they brought that back where it's just like, you're meeting, like, the descendant of the big bad of the first game, and he's kinda like a nerd. I
Right.
love the idea of that, and they just didn't do that in this, and that's, like, the one, like, big thing that I'm like and it's not even a big thing in
Sure.
general, just a big thing for me where I'm like, "I wish y'all I wish y'all changed this."
Yeah, I do wonder because I don't know enough about the original history of that. If like, I don't know if that was a translation thing where like when it was
Yes.
localized, he was depicted that way, and that's
Mhm.
not present in like the original Japanese script. Um, I'd be curious if that was like just a major shift in all fronts globally, or if it's just a thing the West is specifically seeing because we had like a different translation before. Uh, yeah, but like there's a bit of a charm I think to having that depiction that is lost here. Um, but I think in a sea of all the other like upgrades, it's like I'll take it. But I agree.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, but, had a really, really great time, with Dragon Quest II, um, and yeah, it's my favorite one so far. It's kinda thrown a little bit of a wrench in my Dragon Quest tattoo idea, like, I had one, like, planned out, and now I'm like, "Oh, 2's my favorite now," so I kinda have to, like,
What
rethink things.
what was the previous design idea, and what do you lean
Well,
towards
so
now?
initially, I was thinking about getting, like, Erdrick's sword in the back, the shield in front of it, and then on the bottom, like, the sword was gonna poke out, and it was going to have, like, the DQ3 heroes, like, helm? Not
Hmm.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Hair? headband.
No, not his helmet, like the crown type thing that he wears.
Oh yeah. It's kind of a. I mean, I guess you could call it a crown. It's a headpiece.
Headpiece, yeah, the
Circlet,
headpiece,
I
and
guess.
have it like around the sword, like that, like on the bottom. Um, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that now. But I also am thinking that I still could do it, and it could just be like a just Erdrick trilogy tattoo of sorts.
Mhm.
Um, but again, it depends on if really depends on one, how five sticks to landing with everything. I don't think my opinion on five is going to change. Like, I think it does some really cool, neat stuff, and I get why people really revere it. But there's certain aspects for me that I look for in JRPGs that just aren't present in this game in a real
Sure.
way. Um, and then there's eight, right, which is just such a beloved Dragon Quest as well, and that's like the I mean, technically, it's the second big shift to like in 3D, right? But like even then, like with from 7 to 8, they made some pretty significant changes.
No, yeah. So seven, like original release 7 is still like 2D.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
like
So
8 is
yeah,
the big because 7
8
got
was the
remade.
big shift.
Yeah, 7's been remade before, and so I think a lot of people remember because I even make this mistake sometimes in my own head because I think back to playing on 3DS, but that's not even what it looked like originally on PS1. But yeah, 8 was the really big, like, pretty significant shift from
Yeah,
what games had looked like up to that point.
yeah. But then another idea I have is that like, and I just don't know what it would look like. Is that like I would really love an idea of a piece that like has like that like represents each of the heroes.
Mhm.
But I just don't know what that would look like. And I'm
Each of the
not a
heroes from 1 through 3, or like
no, all of them.
all of them. Okay,
Yeah, all of them. And then like be able to like add on to it as time goes on type
sure.
deal. But yeah, I just don't know what that would look like. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. And I'm not an artistic minded
Yeah.
individual outside of being a musician. So could not even give you a educated guess on like what I'm thinking about there. Um, did you play anything of the past week that you want to talk about, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, we can do a quick couple shout outs to things. Not necessarily JRPGs, but I did during the Thanksgiving kind of downtime. I finally went back and finished Outer Worlds 2, which I think my easiest way to sum up this review is like, yep, this is an Obsidian game in all the good and not so good ways that, that means. I like it. I like it more than more than Avowed, as far as like their two RPGs that came out this year. It does a lot of great stuff, but especially in kind of the later stages of it, you run into what is kind of a hallmark of Oblivion, or God, of Obsidian, which is you can tell they had a lot more ideas that they just did not have the time or budget to like execute on. Like there's just certain parts where you're like, oh, like it feels weird that like this thing is here, but then there's not really anything that happens with that after. Or like, for instance, there's three big factions in the game. I don't know why the third one's in the game. Like there's two that are huge and like they play a role in the main story, and there's a whole thing about how like, you might have to like try to ally with one of them or even try to like get them to work together, and then like that helps you like get through the end of the game. And then the third faction is like the black market, and there's three, four quests associated with them, and it doesn't really have any bearing on the actual main story stuff at all. They don't really come up that much in any other context. The best I can tell, the only real reason to do their quests is because by getting higher reputation with them, their merchants will sell stuff for like 10% cheaper. It's just kind of like oh, this is really weird that like why does this one get upheld as much as these two? Like what's going on? So it feels like there was like plans to do more with that faction, and then it just wasn't. And there's a couple other things kind of like that, but I think that's like my biggest example of where it's just like, oh, this feels weird here. But role playing elements, excellent. Big improvement over the first one, like just almost night and day. Like I liked the first Outer Worlds for what it was, but this feels much more realized, even if there are still some aspects missing from it. But great game. I started playing yesterday because it released yesterday. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, most recent beat
Nice.
'em up. Yep. I'm almost through the campaign, which is kind of neat because they do this whole thing where you're allowed to pick who you want, but there's kind of like if you're doing the campaign story mode, like we recommend picking these two characters, and there will be like plot reasons for why those characters are going through that stage. You'll get like a little extra talk from them. There will be challenges associated specifically with that character, where it's like, hey, try to do this like while getting through the stage as this person. Um, yeah, I mean, just like kind of in the line of Dotemu beat 'em ups, similar to Shredder's Revenge, because this was also, I believe, a tribute one. Uh, just great time. I love the tag team mechanic. I love how characters feel different. Like it's a lot more than just like, oh, this one is a little faster, this one does a little more damage. It's like, no, like move sets are varied. Some characters have like special move type stuff where it's like, oh, if you hold the attack button a little longer, you'll do a certain different attack. Just real nice variety that can make it very interesting for like who you pick and why, outside of just like, I like this one.
Yeah, I really want to get to that game. I want to get to both of those games. I want to go back and finish Outer Worlds. I liked the first one. Again, I love Obsidian. It's just I think when I played it, I just felt like the first one specifically, I just felt like it struggled to have its own identity
Sure.
as a new IP, because I was just like, yeah, this is Bethesda cross Mass Effect game for sure. Like with a little bit of Borderlands in there.
Like extra
Um,
satire, yeah, lots of jokes about consumerism and capitalism, but like, yeah, it's also definitely doing like the, as you said, Mass Effect, having party members in space, Western RPG. Yeah,
yeah. But it was still well written, and I enjoyed it. And Octopath, other Outer Worlds 2 seems very very fun. Um, One thing I want to mention, and that this isn't a JRPG, this isn't even an RPG, but I also want to mention it just because both me and Kevin have played this game, and it's kind of undergoing like this weird thing. And I want to talk about it. Is that there's a game that came out this week. It's called Horses,
mm-hmm.
and it's an indie game that just came out that me and Kevin got to play a year, 2 years ago.
Year and a half, I
And
think. It was Day of the
I think
Devs, I think, right?
yeah,
I don't
yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah.
It's yeah,
And I really recommend not looking anything up about it in a real way. I think what you should know is that it is like a very
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable experience, but also like a very but the game, and I'm not a horror slash suspense guy, like gamer, really almost at all. Like outside of Resident Evil, and even then that like has some asterisks to it, and then
Yeah,
like Silent Hill F like seems interesting. I really don't play horror games or like suspense games or anything like that.
yeah,
But like this game is really worth checking out from the time that we did get to play a while back. And it's a very cheap game. And the reason why we're talking about it specifically is because for some reason Steam has banned the game. Like
yes,
they can't upload the game on Steam, which is weird just because like there's literal like 18 plus NSFW games on Steam. So
yeah,
it's like, why is this your line here? And they haven't been like, they won't contact the dev at all. Like they won't like respond to any of their requests of like appeal or anything like that.
yeah.
So it's basically on like any other major PC platform like Itch, Epic Game Store, things like that.
I think you can
GOG, I
also,
think.
yeah, I think you can also just buy it directly from them. I think on their website. I think they have an
Yeah,
option.
you might be able to, and it's only $5. It's a $5 game, and I think it's a game that's like worth checking out because it's a bizarre experience. And I just wanted to like use the little platform that we had to talk about it because they basically said like, hey, because this game's not coming to Steam, this may bankrupt our studio. This may like destroy our studio.
Yeah,
So it's a $5 game. If you have $5 to spare, like, support an indie dev, and check it out.
yeah. It is wild that like, because you can't like, it's not a true monopoly, right? Like there are competitors and there are other places you can buy your games, etc. But Steam is such a,
Behemoth.
it is the main marketplace, right? Like I
Yeah.
was even talking about this. I did a video on Steam Machine. I was saying like one of the things about Steam Machine, right, is uh, they're not going to sell it cheaper because of the gains they'll make from like people buying on their platform, because people already buy on their platform. They don't have to sell Steam Machines to move that needle. Like they're already the default place people go to buy PC games, and like it really is like synonymous with PC gaming at this point. And so it's just so rough when you can see this kind of decision making and like communication where it's like being on your platform is potentially make or break, not just for this game, but for like our livelihood as people. And what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
why? And again, it's not a monopoly. There's other choices, but as far as like how impactful it is the one, you know.
Yep. Yep. I mean, yeah, you said it all. And just on top of that, Epic Game Store like just has some issues that a lot of people that primarily play PC games just don't really vibe with, like a lot of security concerns, if I remember correctly. And I don't know if those have ever been like fixed since the release of Epic Game Store a few years
Mhm.
ago. I know that's been a thing for like half a decade now, but it still feels like really new, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and I mean, it's weird because like security concerns. Like, I mean, man, Sony is also messed up on that aspect like quite a few times. Like, I don't know, I don't recall the specifics for Epic Game Store, but like, I think the thing with Epic Game Store is that it just came out at a weird time when like, again, there was already so much momentum in Steam's favor, and I think, especially because Epic is not like they have their own skin in the game, like right out the gate, and that's kind of the one thing in their favor is that if you want to play Fortnite on PC, you're you're getting the Epic Game Store. That's just what you have to do. And I know they try to like they give a lot of free games away, and there's a lot of like trying to get more people to join, and like I think there are folks who do like use it, but it always seems like it's kind of like a in addition to and never a this is my main platform. Like I still feel like for most folks, like the biggest time I see someone avoid Steam is when they're like, no, I'm against DRM of any form and I only buy my games directly from devs or like GOG and itch. Like, give me the
Mm,
installer. I want to be able to archive this for myself. Um,
yeah.
but that is
Which
a specific audience and not the regular consumer.
yeah, I mean like I think that yeah, that's I mean I think I would prefer that kind of experience as well, where it's like, no, give me the installer, like I want to own this game
Yeah.
in a way that, you know, but yeah, Steam just Valve got ahead of it,
Yeah.
and they're the Disney, of the PC gaming space, the Nintendo. Um, for top of the show this week, I wanted to just kind of jump a little bit deeper on the JRPG 3.0 topic, or just news story that came out last week.
Mhm.
And just kind of toss up the question, is JRPG an outdated term? Are we at a place where we need to dial in more on like the kind of the genreification, I guess, of games?
Sure.
And what does that look like in that hypothetical?
Yeah. Um, I'm going to begin here with just, I think, the very general statement that RPG as a term in general has always been kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Because there are some genre names that are very on the nose, right? Like first person shooter. It's first person. I shoot guns. Like there you go. Like that's you can play with that in genre conventions and you can do mixing that with other things and whatever. But like at the end of the day, there's a very clear cut way of being like, this is a first person shooter, like on site. Role playing has always been at the mercy of like kind of what just feels like a role playing game sometimes to people. And I don't think there's really been a great consistent definition across like wider audiences. Because you'll see things where it's like, oh, like Legend of Zelda is technically an RPG. And it's like, yes, but also no, but also I don't know how I feel about that.
I
And
No.
sure, but if it is not, why is that not? And like Secret of Mana is.
I have not played the Mana series, so
Sure.
I cannot
Yeah. Is it just
answer that question.
yeah, but that's what I mean, right? Like there's just so much blurring where you get into these weird spaces. And even the debates we've had, right, with like what counts as a specifically JRPG or not, which is what falls into this whole idea of like, is it an outdated term? Like, I don't even know if it's an outdated term as much as like it's just always been a nebulous, weird thing. And it's hard, I think, to like you can't as like an individual tell the market like, hey, we need to define these things differently now. It's always the result of like general cultural shifts and movements, and like, you might have things happen where there are um specific terms for like a subgenre or category, right? Like whether or not you think Dark Souls counts as a JRPG or not, uh, it is an RPG. But now we also have this term of like Souls-like because this whole style and trend, which that also is kind of a mess because it's like, well, what elements make something a Souls-like or not, and does this game count or does this game count? Um, but it's always this thing that doesn't like. There's not like a core. We don't have like the official games committee that goes like, yes, this is the dictionary entry for what this genre means. It's kind of at the mercy of like who's making stuff, what they call their own things, and then whether or not we as an audience go along with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the discussion that we've had before, kind of going back to, not it's not directly tied to our Souls like a JRPG, but like
Sure.
there is definitely games that are like, oh, this is a Souls like versus this has Souls like elements,
Sure.
right? Like Sekiro's not a Souls like.
Yeah. It's made by the
It
same
has
people
soul
and
has souls,
a lot in
yeah,
common.
it's made by the
Yeah.
same people, it has souls like elements, but it's not a Souls like. Because I think with the Souls like, it has to be an RPG. Would you agree with that?
Generally speaking, yeah. Like I definitely
Yeah.
lean because, like, for instance, I wouldn't say here's one that like I think even blurs the like here's a more extreme like offshoot. Uh the Jedi games, right? Fallen Order and
Yeah, those aren't
like
Souls likes.
it's like they have a lot of Souls like elements. They adopted a lot of the command inputs. They use the bonfire system of like that's where you rest and checkpoint and
And
save, and
meditating,
enemies will
yeah.
respawn. And like there's a lot of influence there, but I would not be like, oh yeah, that's a Souls like. Like there's
Yeah.
enough missing there. And part of that does come down to like, yeah, like you're playing a pre-established character. You're not like having like stat builds or like trying out different pieces of equipment. Um, like you could have a pre-established character. Actually, like think about some other examples, like Neo does that, for instance. Um, but there's definitely, I would say RPG elements definitely are like a major part of that.
Yeah, and same, I mean, same goes for, Expedition 33. Like,
Oh yeah,
that
definitely.
that 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 has Souls-like elements, but it's
Sure.
not a Souls-like. Like,
Yeah.
come on now. And so I think that there's instances there's plenty of instances where it's just where you can recognize the key factors that, like, define a game's genre. Like, you can look at, you already talked about it with especially, like, more Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like, there's definitely RPG light elements to it, but I would not categorize it as an RPG.
Mhm.
Same thing with the Horizon series. There's definitely RPG like elements, but it's not a RPG. Um, and I think that would you agree with that?
Horizon's a tough one, to be honest, in my mind, because it's one of those things where like there's definitely RPG elements. And there's
Yes,
enough of them
100%.
where I have to like kind of take a moment and sit with myself and go, well, why doesn't this count then? Like what is my cutoff reason for why it has so many things that are associated with RPGs, but in and of itself is not an RPG? And I don't know if I've ever come up with enough satisfying answer to convince myself that I shouldn't be calling it one. But this is
For m
also where like we this is also like where we differ on Dark Souls, where I'm like, it's a JRPG. Like we count Kingdom Hearts. I'm not sure what it is about Dark Souls other than the very strong like dark fantasy coding that like dispels it for a lot of people. Um
Yeah, so, like, I mean, for Horizon, I for Horizon, like, the only thing is, like, yes, you have, like, dialogue choices, but it doesn't affect the story. It doesn't
sure.
affect anything. It just
Yeah.
allows you to make Aloy a little bit more personable, and even then, I just,
Right. But there's a lot of RPGs
sure.
that don't give you
But then
dialogue choices. Like Dragon
sure,
Quest, you don't
sure,
make
sure,
choices.
sure, but then, like, when it comes to, like, the evolution of, like, the character in the role-playing sense, like, you level up specifically to get skill points,
Yeah.
and that's all leveling up really does. And I think that, like, if it upped your stats, like if it upped like other things that your weapons specifically do,
Sure.
that would be different to me.
So
It's kind of like
in your mind,
so
having a level and stats in general is like an RPG. Like that's a definition to you.
yeah, 100% because like Final Fantasy 16, right? Very
Mhm.
comparable. Your strength, your attack, all that stuff is determined by the weapons you're using.
Mhm.
Just like Horizon. You
Mhm.
level up, you might get a health upgrade, like a health increase, but that's it. If am I remembering that correctly about 16?
I mean, like your general stats, I believe, go up as you level up. It's not just health.
Really?
Like
Oh,
I
okay.
believe so.
Okay.
It's like it's subtle. It's
So
not like
it's not a great one for it's not like a perfect one for one comparison, but like, you know, ultimately like that is just like your goal, right? Is to just like how do I explain it? Because you can make the same argument for RPGs. See, this is where it gets tough.
no.
But
Yeah, and
but
like that's what I mean. RPGs as a definition have always been an absolute mess. like
yeah,
it's like what really defines them? Yeah.
I just feel like that because you're getting your new abilities through like not like particularly like skill points, but it just doesn't I just don't yeah, it just doesn't fit like an RPG to me.
Mhm.
Cause like, for example, like hypothetically, if we said like Horizon is an RPG, like are we differentiating Horizon and uh go like the Ghost series simply because there's no level up bar?
Yeah. Well, and here's another one to mess with you then. What about Horizon versus Witcher 3? Witcher 3 is also
Play,
skill points.
I haven't played a whole lot of Witcher though.
Yeah. Witcher 3 is skill points and gear, which Horizon is skill points and
Yeah, but Witcher has a lot more like choice based
sure. So but then you would be
stuff.
saying that having that the stat difference then is not like the
Well,
only
no,
differentiator then. Like
again
that's
like
where this gets into a mess, right? RPGs are like it has to have one of these things, but not necessarily all of them. But then why does Horizon not have enough things? Like this is just getting into again, like it's a weird space when you really think about it and like look at the games that we go, oh yes, that is one, and then we look at another game and go, I don't think so, but why?
yeah, just I guess like the idea of that you get when you level up, you get 10 health and a skill points. And I don't think like the skill point and the skill tree aspect is enough to categorize it as a JRPG because like Donkey Kong Bonanza has skill points, right?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's not an RPG.
Yeah.
It's not.
Right. No, I agree with you. But
And so
that's
like
not the only element. Yeah.
but like with The Witcher, like there's so much like you know, variety and choice making and things
There's
like that that
grainier there's a more grain to the gear, right?
there's
Because like
actual role playing elements in it that like you don't have in Horizon. Or at least like they don't you know, you can role play in the sense of like you can again give a little bit of
yeah,
personable personality to Aloy, but
you
it
choose who
doesn't
you
affect
romance and you can pick
anything.
things.
Yeah. It
Well,
doesn't
I mean,
affect like
it affects some things. It's not like it's like there's different endings, but there are like certain
you can.
specific quests.
Well, oh, I didn't play Forbidden West. Can you romance in Forbidden West?
Yeah. There is a
Okay,
romance, I believe, that you don't
but is
have to
that like
engage in.
always the case?
No, I believe it is player option to engage in it or not.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I just think that like it just doesn't have enough to categorize it as an RPG for me, in my opinion, based off of like what it does. Um, because yeah, I just think that like when you think about the more traditional RPGs like Witcher, like BioWare RPGs, Baldur's Gate, like those are so much more there's so much like variety in what you can do and like it you know, it's just so much more clear.
Sure.
Because
No,
again, like
I agree. It is more
we're
clear. Like
because we're
that's the
because
thing.
again we're like going back to Horizon and Ghost of like the Ghost series, like outside of a level up bar, they're basically designed similar. You just get skill points differently
Yeah.
in Ghost. And so is Ghost an RPG? No, it's not. Come on.
Yeah,
It's
but see, but that's what I'm saying though, is that like yes, it's very easy to just go like, yes, this game is not an RPG because it's not an RPG. But like, why though? But like, really, why? Like when we're looking at some of these in-depth aspects, like some of it has to do with maybe the graininess of it. Because like for instance, let's look at gear, right? Witcher, you have so much more gear choices, and there's lots of gear at different specific stats and rarities. And a lot of these other games rely on significantly simplified gear, right? Where it's like, oh, you have the regular level, the next tier up, the tier up after that, and the tier up after that. But like, there's a very specific equipment list, and it's not nearly as like wide as what you would see in like Witcher. But is that graininess the important difference then? Like, is it just like, is there a cutoff of how much different gear do you have to choose from to make this an RPG or not? Uh, again, it's just, I always find this genre very bizarre to codify because there's plenty of stuff where there are games I'll look at and go, yeah, that's an RPG. I have no doubt in my mind. And then there's other games where people say they're not, and I'll go, I want to agree with you, but then I think about it and why? Like, what is really the thing that's making me go, this does not feel like an RPG to me?
I'm struggling with the text right now. I'm struggling with the text. My brain hasn't had to think this hard in a while. I think that yeah, because we talked about this on the very first episode of the podcast. Like,
Yeah,
what's a
what makes a
JRPG? It's
JRPG?
like
Yeah,
when you see it type deal,
sure.
and that's kind of like been my, and that's like a very, to be clear, it's a very like I'm not even saying it's not a good answer. It's just a very vague answer,
Yeah,
right?
no, for sure.
And
It's a
and
feeling kind of thing.
yeah, it's a feeling thing, and I just think that like when you like just like when you level up, if it's like very, for me, like if you level up and it's like very basic things and it doesn't like evolve the gameplay around you, like you don't gain like new abilities or you don't gain like uh those type of things, but like there are other aspects where you can do that like through a skill tree, but it depends on like how it's implemented, right? Like Expedition 33 obviously is a JRPG and it has a skill tree esque type thing.
Yeah,
But then there's, again, just like using Horizon as an example, because I think Horizon is honestly like the best modern example of like this kind of towing
action,
the
adventure,
line.
towing the line. Yeah, RPG elements, but they're not enough for us to call it an RPG. At least in regular discussion. But like, yeah, why is it not enough? Yeah.
Yeah. That it's just like it doesn't, I guess it just doesn't evolve the game in a major way. It kind of like how do I explain it? It kind of like extends the abilities that are already existing instead of like learning brand new things that you can use to implement, whether it be in combat or exploration, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of RPGs where numbers just kind of go up, right? Like, uh, going back to like a lot of the mana games, right? Like, sure, you get the ability to charge up your weapon attacks more if you improve the weapon qualities, but like otherwise, your numbers just kind of go up. You're not really gaining like. I mean, I guess the magic users specifically will get new spells, while the main character is just like, what weapon are you using, and you swing it a lot. Uh,
Yeah, but at least the mana system, like mana has like a party system,
in
right?
some of them, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
because that
the
is
very first
another
one is
aspect
basically
of it.
Zelda.
Yeah, because that's another aspect of it too, where it's like, a party system immediately to me qualifies up RPG. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like where you have like the consistent party where you're like engaging with these characters. They're like, to me auto that's an automatic factor for me. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's the case for you, but like, yeah, when you because when you said mana initially, I was like, oh, you're kind of right based off what you're saying,
Sure.
and then I was like, wait, there's parties in
Not in the first
Secret
one.
Mana, or well,
First
yeah,
one's
sure enough,
basically Zelda. So like, does that one count
and
or not?
I
Like,
mean, probably not. Then
does it just
probably
yeah? Does it get inducted by grace because of the
there
rest of the franchise, or
there
like
can
yeah?
be. I mean, yeah, there can be instances where it's just like not. I guess it's just not a RPG like that. Again, I don't consider Final Fantasy 16 an RPG. I consider it an action game.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, that can totally happen.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I just feel like that I wasn't trying to go
No,
particularly dig down like the uh gray area that is the
No, for sure.
RPG
Well, but
genre, but
but
like,
the reason I bring that up though is because I think that is why there's that concept of RPG is an outdated term though, right? Or like is it? Because I think we've at least illustrated here in our back and forth that um RPG as a genre label has always been kind of a loose one, more so than a lot of other genres. Um,
sure,
and again, there's nothing we can do about that. Like
yeah,
this is cultural market shifts and whatever. Like this is the greater movement of just how the scene evolves. But I kind of get the idea of saying like, oh, RPG or JRPG is an outdated term in the sense of like, I don't always fully know what I'm getting when you use that term. Like, yeah, you could say this is an RPG or this is an RPG, and you could be telling me two entirely different games, right?
yeah. It's one of those things where if I'm telling someone that they're playing a JRPG or even in most cases, I'll probably say in most cases RPG in general, I'll let them know like what the experience is because it's just such a over
It's a
encompassing
broad term.
genre,
Yeah.
right? Like telling Kingdom Hearts, like, yeah, Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG. It's a JRPG, but it's an action RPG.
Hmm.
And then like, but then you talk about like, and you talk about the Final Fantasy series. You're just like, yeah, this is a JRPG series, and like from this point to this point, it's all like turn based, and then it switches up. Like, you have to like kind of give that context,
Right.
if they don't know it. But yeah, it's just being able to, because I think that when you, again, like JRPG, RPG, those are like umbrella terms that branch out into more specific things. And I think, again, like we said before, I think that Souls-like is a branch of the RPG genre
Mhm.
at this point. Um, and so like that's kind of how I look at it. So it's just like if someone says like, "Oh, I want to play a JRPG," it's like, "Okay, what kind of JRPG you want to play?"
Yeah.
Or I want to play an RPG. Okay, what kind of RPG you want to play? Because there are still RPGs that aren't like the kind of big, you make these choices, they affect the story ongoing. Like in reality, there's not a whole lot of those type of games.
That's like a Western RPG specific thing for sure.
But
Like you
yeah, it
see
is a
that in a
Western.
lot.
Yeah,
You see that in a lot of like Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate, a lot of Obsidian stuff, Pillars of Eternity, Fallout, Bethesda stuff as well. Even though you have the difference between like the first person view and then the party based isometric whatever. But like that is definitely more common in Western RPGs. There are JRPGs with choices and like story impact and branching,
yeah,
but those are certainly more the exception than the rule, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, and so I think that you can just that's just kind of how you approach it, and with like saying it's outdated, it's like just because like an umbrella like these terms are so all encompassing when it comes to uh being this umbrella term, that doesn't mean that like that's what a genre is, right? Like if you say like, oh, I'm reading this fantasy novel, okay, what kind of fantasy is it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, I'm reading a sci-fi novel, okay, what kind of sci-fi is it? Like that's it's just like like these terms can like I don't think can ever really be outdated because are these they are like these well again vague because you have to like there are these
Yeah.
branches to them,
Right.
but like I think the vague is the point of these terms.
Yeah. I
Like
mean, sometimes they're vague, sometimes they're not, right? I mean, like,
they're
I
vague
know what a
for,
fighting game is.
yeah, they're vague in both good ways and bad ways, right? Because
Yeah,
like because action games are the same way. It's like, oh, it's an action game. Well, what kind of action game? Is it like a
sure.
hack and slash? Is it a shooter? Is it like those are elements as well.
Yeah,
Um, and or is it open world? Like there's so many things that you can uh say about that. It's just like I think that with RPG you just get in there's just more like nitty gritty aspects to it,
yeah,
right? Where it's like with again with action games, just like you ask like, okay, what kind of action is it? And then you're kind of done after that. You don't have to ask any more questions. But with a JRPG or an RPG, you're just like, all right, do I make choices that matter in the story? Like,
sure.
what kind of combat is it? What kind of this? What kind of that? Like there's so many questions that can go into play there that like which is so weird. Like I've noticed that the more I've like kind of pitched different JRPG and RPG series to people, like you have to like your pitch has to be a lot more concise. It has to be a lot more you have to know what you're talking about or people are going to kind of start checking out on you.
Mhm.
Um as someone who has continuously tried to pitch the Trail series, it's like it's really hard to pitch this series because it's so specific and like there's really nothing else like it. And and so you really have to like hit the nail on the head on what you're talking about or people are going to be like, "I don't really know what you're saying, dog," and I'm just going to like you know, move on to the next thing. Um and so yeah, it's vague for a reason. Like it's vague in good ways. There are cons to it, but I think it's ultimately a net positive thing. And I don't think that they're ever going to be outdated, and I don't ever think that they should be outdated. Because you know we've seen examples because it's two things: one more modern, one more in general. We've seen that there's still like we can still get new genres of games, right? We
Mhm.
can get these like subsect genres. We got this with Souls likes. But then in general, like the grand scheme of things, like gaming is a very young thing. It's a very we have a very short history. And so this idea that oh yeah, JRPGs are or RPG is an outdated term. It's just like such a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. Like, I can understand getting to certain games and being like, "Oh, is this really an RPG or is it not?" And like people having like their personal opinions on like, "Oh, this is an RPG," or like, "Oh, it has RPG like elements, but it's not like I wouldn't categorize it as one." Um, versus, "Oh, no, these terms just need to like go away
Sure. Yeah,
or be updated."
I mean, it's weird because again, like I think outdated is the word choice that makes this all weird because outdated implies that like there's a way to update. And it's
Yeah.
just not something that is like a conscious choice of any like we're not going to all come together and vote on like yes, we are going to keep the word RPG or no, we are going to get rid of it and replace it with these new terms and break it down into more official genres of party-based adventure game and whatever. Like there's not a way to do that. um and so like just when I hear this idea of like, you know, is RPG an outdated term? I guess where my head just goes more so is like understanding the root of like why you would say that. And I think it's this idea that uh it's just not as fine of a term as I think some people wish it was. Um and I get that frustration. And the thing is, that's just to get a little too meta here. That's just how genres work, man. Like we're
Yeah.
ascribing descriptions to things based on what common elements stand out to us, and it's all actually kind of meaningless in the grand stretch of things. It's just trying to simplify it enough for our brains to go, if you like this, then you'll probably like this. Um, but that's just the danger that comes with how we try to classify and define things. And RPG, I think, gets this flack more than others because, again, it is just such a nebulous term, right? Like you even look at how RPG is a term kind of like it kind of evolved from the fact that we had role-playing games, like literal role-playing games, you know,
Yeah,
D&D back in
tabletop.
the day. Yeah, and how that influenced the creation of them. And you see how those influences led to entirely different games, right? Because you know, RPGs in the West, you started getting these games that emphasize the idea of player choice and like going where you want and making certain decisions and like how that might play out with stuff. And then you see, you know, tabletop RPGs take off in Japan, and that leads to almost more of a live play, play report style game where it's like, okay, we're going to just give you certain characters, or we're going to have a specific story and path that you're playing out, or maybe you're able to make your own, but there's still like a set route, and we're just telling the story, like the original Final Fantasy, right? Like you're picking party members, but ultimately there's still a specific plot with no choices and just you're going where you're going. Dragon Quest, you are the hero and you get to wander around and you're beating up monsters and you have to go beat the big bad. But it's not a game about choices or you playing a role where you get to make decisions. It's just you're inhabiting this hero in a realm and you have stats. Uh, and so, like, these building blocks and how they developed all their various spin-offs and reinventions over time, and even why we have that split of like RPG versus JRPG, because it's not like we talk about action games versus J action games, right? uh
Yeah.
it's just this very bizarre thing of like, this is how the culture just built over time and how it established why we call things the way we do. And it almost ties back to like when we were talking about what makes an indie game during the Game Awards, right? Like, there are absolutely games that are truly indie in the hard definition sense. And then there's games where it's like, yes, we're calling this indie. Well, I'm not sure why. Like, it feels like an indie game. It feels like what I would call an indie game. It has a publisher, but it's indie. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like, it's just genre labeling is always an absolute mess. And we as humans are flawed. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah. It's ultimately something that's just never going to be resolved in a real way.
Sure.
Um, or someone like notable is going to bring up a term and people are going to be like, that's stupid. No. Or for some reason, like run with it. And that's just like how things change. Cause like, again, just going back to Souls likes, they earned that shit, right? Like they earned that subcategory because
Sure.
people started making a bunch of Souls like games, and
A
like that was
bunch
the
of Souls-like games.
that was the best way to explain it. Like, yeah, it's like Dark Souls, so or
Yeah,
it's like Demon Souls. It's
yeah.
Souls like,
Well,
and it
yeah,
was
and like in a similar fashion, Metroidvanias, right? Like, what the hell is that? It's literally the name of two different games mashed together because we just decided enough games are copying this formula that Symphony of the Night laid out that it's just like, yeah, this is kind of its just own genre now. And like, yeah, they're 2D action platformers, but like, they're Metroidvanias. There is a difference here with that
yeah,
term choice.
and people like really don't like that genre name to this day. Like I've seen people be like, I hate the name of this genre, um, and it's like, all right, well, okay,
It
but
became what it is.
yeah,
Roguelite and roguelike, they're based on a game called Rogue. It has nothing to do with random playthroughs of things. Like, we just picked a name because that was like the game that set up that mechanic concept, and then we just ran with calling games that. And then you get into the nitty-gritty a bit with like versus light, whatever. But yeah, genre names are weird.
yeah, yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about regarding this topic?
I feel like I could go in circles on this all day.
Yeah, no, I felt that beginning, and I was like, we should nip this in the bud now.
Yeah, no, like,
um,
like, I think we've illustrated our main viewpoints on this, I think, and just like, yeah, man, genre classifications. It's a weird place.
it's a weird place, but they also very much matter. And I don't think like I don't know. It's just one of those things where this is the last thing I'll say about it. And this might go into another conversation, but I think it's an interesting one. I think we've been so like, especially over the past like I don't know 10, 15 years, since social media and like since the internet and it was like normalized and regularized that why do we need to like have these direct conclusive genre categorizations in a way of um like if I could just say like, oh yeah, it's a JRPG and you knew everything that term like meant and what your experience is, like that's kind of boring. Like when you when you pitch a game, like you want to explain why the game rocks, right? Like, and if you just say like, oh yeah, it's a JRPG, and it's like, oh, I'm in, right? Like, because even for us, like we love JRPGs. Like, if we hear like, oh, this game's a JRPG, we're immediately gonna perk up. I want to still want to know more about it because like there are JRPGs that don't work for me, right? Like, and I think that if you if we wanted like these kind of more uh specific terms, or all-encompassing terms, it would just be so boring to talk about like or about pitching games to people.
Sure.
And I just think that for though like just the idea of thinking about how a term is outdated because it's too broad or or whatever, it's like it's kind of weird to me.
So this really comes down to, I think, there's one word I could give you here: searchability. It's SEO, man. It's the ability to go, anyone who likes this thing, you're going to like this thing. And uh it's marketing. It's trying to give a very easy way for someone to find your title. And you'll even see this happen on like the Steam store, right? Where they'll use these very specific subgenres to help make sure that you're pushed certain games, right? Like, again, FPS, very on the nose genre, but even then, there's a lot of variety within it. One example being boomer shooters, right? We have a
Yeah.
whole genre that is kind of named wrong because it's really more Gen X shooters, but uh, but that's like an easy way to market, like, oh, like I'm making a boomer shooter. You want to play like old school Doom? Here you go. Like, check out my game and buy it. It is a way to market your game and add visibility, because, as you said, with a lot of these subgenres and extra terms, absolutely are a result of the internet, and it's because there is so much out there now. Like, there are so many games constantly releasing left and right, and it's easier to cut through that noise when you are, EA, Square Enix, whatever. Like, people are going to be paying attention. Like, we all know Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out someday. Like, that's not that's not going to be a thing that's a worry. But for anyone that's like a new studio, an upstart studio, an indie dev, someone working by themselves, like, you need to be able to get your stuff in front of people's eyes. And the internet has just created this search engine, approach to things where it's like, how am I going to do this in like a word? How am I going to have someone find my game? Like, how am I going to instill, like, what's the easiest way to distill it? And like, yes, there are other things about my game that are cool, and there are other things about it that make it unique and different and interesting. But at the end of the day, I need that marketing term. What am I going to throw out? And it's like roguelike, for instance, is a great example of this. Like, Hades is nothing like a number of other roguelites that are out there. I'm not going to say, oh, because you like Hades, you're absolutely going to like Enter the Gungeon, or I can't remember the name right now, but there's that mech tactics one that's really good. But like, it's just a very broad genre, but it brings out this specific concept that got very popular, where it's like, hey, you like roguelites? I made a new roguelite, and maybe that genre got a little too stuffed, and now even that needs more definition to cut through the noise. But like, that is why that happens.
Yeah, no, I understand the marketability aspect. I'm just talking about like just general like conversation, like
Sure.
with a person, you know, like the marketing and business side of things, like that makes total sense. Like I understand just making it as straightforward as possible, making that marketable. Totally get that. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, just general conversations with people, like talking to a friend, being like, "Hey, like, I really think you should play this game. It's a JRPG," and then you say like, "It's this. Like, this is what the combat's like. This is what this is like. And I think you're like, I think you should really give it a shot." Um, versus again, just saying like it's a JRPG and it's like, cool. I know everything I need to know. Don't need to expand on it any more than that, and the conversation's over. That just like that would just be weird to me. Um, and because yeah, whenever anyone like recommends a game, I'm just like, yo, tell me more about it. Like even
Mhm.
if it's a game I've heard of, like yo, give me like a pitch on it so that like, hey, should I play this sooner than I'm already kind of in the mind space for? Um, that yeah, I think that is really important when it comes to just talking about video games with your friends or like when we talk to people in the industry. That's kind of like kind of like the pro side of discourse, right? Like
Yeah.
we get very fatigued about like the like kind of like the responses, I guess, of games, but like when it comes to just like recommendations and talking about like our favorite video games and like, oh, why you should play this, like, I think that those the nuances of like the vagueness of those genre titles just make things a lot more interesting and fun and keeps like the conversation lively. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think it's really just like it's a natural result of a lot of things, primarily just like how the internet has developed the way a lot of people think and approach things, and that's a
Yep.
whole other topic in terms of what has happened to our attention spans and our reading comprehension and our ability to like carry out interesting conversation. That's that's a whole other mess.
Yep.
But I think
Yep.
that is a natural what you're talking about. And that stuff still happens. I absolutely have really good conversations with folks about like getting into more
Oh, for
nitty gritty.
sure.
But like, yeah, the classification of everything and the way that we try to distill it down into single terms, like it's it happens because of marketability, but then that also becomes, especially for someone who grew up in that space, right? Now you've grown up in having tons of super specific genres for everything. That is how you're going to view the space and how you talk about it and how those conversations are formed later in person. Because that's what you know, and it's the world we live in now. And yep.
Yeah. And and again, I think part of it, I think one argument that you could make about JRP, like specifically JRPG genre, and like which I talked about like when I initially played, or when I grew up and like I introduced to JRPGs and then we talked about on the podcast, like I initially thought JRPG specifically meant turn-based combat.
Sure. And there's a lot of people
That
who
was
stick to that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And but I think that there have been aspects of the genre that have evolved over time. And then like when you have instances like Expedition 33 that is a JRPG but is also like implementing like Western elements to its game, like that's its own kind of JRPG. There's other instances of JRPGs kind of messing with other um, more Western ways of telling stories and advancing gameplay, like the Saga series, right? Like Romance and Saga 2. Um, so there's definitely those instances of those kind of things, but like it shows that like yeah, the JRPG series genre has evolved over the past like, you know, 40, 50 years. Like it's probably going to evolve more, and it's going to get things are just going to get more vague as just more people create and think of different ideas, and like that's fine, like to me, because that means that like there's more variety is a good thing. So
Mhm.
but anyway, Kevin, do you have anything for the people before we dip out?
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Alrighty. All right, everybody. You can follow me on socials at Cam Final Mix, and you can follow Kevin on socials at Kevin Kenson. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Later.